like, bro, game ain't over till that clock stop. So it's like until the clock stop, bro, keep shooting, fam. And I feel like
All right, man. How you feeling?
I'm doing pretty calm. I'm not gonna lie. I've been on some like today's been mostly like a work day. Like this, like the first like I think weekend since I started my internship where I've really just had time to like sit down and chill for a second. So it's been pretty calm.
For sure, for sure. I know you've been busy with that. Um, I'm at a hotel right now, so I participating in that. I'm a incoming freshman at UTK, University of Tennessee, Knoxville, study computer science. So I'm going to this Ignite. I don't know it's not orientation, but it's not. I don't know what to call it. It's like a freshman meet and greet or something. I guess is what
Yeah.
you call it. But it's for business and engineering students.
Yeah.
So right now I'm just waiting on that. Um, got a bunch of stuff to do, but the purpose of leadership outreach is to truly get into the deep and gritty parts of successful people's stories like yourself. Now I know, I mean, I've been watching your videos for a little minute now. Even since I was in the college admissions process, trying to get into schools like MIT and Stanford and stuff. So I know a couple. Um, of course, I see you as successful. In my opinion, like I see you were very successful, and I know you may not think the same way. That's just because imposter syndrome it does that to us. But what is your story? Where are you from? What's your upbringing? How did you get to MIT? How did you get to where you are now? What are the strategies you've used?
Yeah, so I guess like so starting off with like who am I? My name is Ruben Stephen. I'm a current rising junior at MIT. I'm studying mechanical engineering and computer science. And as for like how I got there and my background, I'm originally from West Palm Beach, Florida. I am the youngest of six Haitian immigrants. And for me, it was really about like the motivation behind getting in. Like getting in was always like a stepping stone towards a larger objective, which was like gaining financial security and freedom so I can help out my family. And like I guess like going back into the background, like low income, like pretty dysfunctional household. And so like I think when I was like about 12 or 13-ish, like I was in middle school and I remember going through my head like, damn, how are we really gonna fix this, bro? It's like, all right, cool. Like in terms of like secure career paths that I can go down, there's like lawyer, doctor, engineer, 'cause, like immigrant Caribbean parents, bro. Those are like really your three options.
I hear you, bro. For sure, for
But
sure.
like, yeah, I was like comparing those different options, and then I knew that like going down the path of like law or medicine would be like a decade long like investment I'd have to do. And like
Yes, bro.
time was kind of at essence for like my decision making process. I'm like, okay, engineering is the move. That in tandem with like I think I generally just had like a stronger affinity for like physics as opposed to like biology or like law. And so yeah, it was like, okay, I decided like, all right, I want to become a mechanical engineer. And that was also from watching like YouTube videos on like, okay, within the realm of engineering, like what are the different disciplines like versus like civil versus software versus like petroleum. Yeah, I was like going through like a whole list and like watching YouTube videos on like, okay, how much do you make doing this? Like what does your typical day look like, et cetera, all the like due diligence, right? And I ended up choosing mechanical engineering because of like the breadth that it allows you to tackle in terms of like versatility in the field. And
Mhm.
I think it's like lived up to that so far. Like I feel like I've gotten a pretty decent like purview of all the different disciplines within my like one degree so far. But yeah, like after I set that objective probably in middle school, it then became okay, how do I do the things that are going to like set me up the best and have like put myself in a position to where getting in is actually feasible. And so middle school, I had to like I started taking advanced coursework. I got like I think like 2 grades ahead in math by like using like the online portal. Like basically like as a middle schooler, I could use something called Florida Virtual School. I think there's also like
Uh-huh.
Edgenuity. Basically like taking the classes online over the summer so that I could go in like I think seventh grade, I took algebra online, and then like
Mm.
eighth grade, I did geometry and algebra 2 in the same year, just like cranking it out by myself.
Oh, that's wild. Yeah.
And then I guess that okay, going into high school, similarly like taking those advanced courseworks in middle school set me up to be able to go to like the magnet or like feeder school low key. Like
Yes, I be seeing the magnet school. So I used to be real interested. My bad. I
no,
used to
you
be
good.
a LinkedIn. I used to scroll on LinkedIn, compare myself to every single person. I look at their high school, it'd be like magnet school, magnet school, magnet school. I'm like, what is this?
Mm.
So that makes sense.
But yeah, like the one for like I guess the area I was in, it was called like Suncoast Community High School. Like my home school was called John I. Leonard, and it was like kind of like a rough trend, not super rough, but it was like I remember all my homies went to the like school that was by my crib, and I'm like, all right, yeah, boys, I'm gonna be going to the crib. I'm gonna be going to the school that's like 30, 45 minutes away. And I think overall, like in terms of like the options it ended up providing me with, it was definitely worth it. But it also like came with its like I guess drawbacks and inconveniences too. But in terms of like coursework and things I was doing, like freshman year, I remember I was taking like AP Physics 1 and like AP World History to start off, like, and then my school was like a bunch of honors classes. So it was low key like stat padding, I'm not gonna lie. Like it was like the way that the school was set up, it was like just to like make sure that you're like extracurriculars and like other things were all set too. Like if they had a community service hours requirement for your first 2 years, like things like those. It's like at the time, I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't appreciate it, but like looking back, it was just like building up like a resume like, on top of a resume, like so that when I eventually did go to apply, it was like okay, I have this like long rap sheet of things that qualify me. And then
For sure,
I
for
think
sure.
next like important phase like okay going through like I'm trying to do well in like my classes. I'm taking very STEM related things, so like I think I took like in total, bro, it might have been like 11 AP classes,
Wow.
like 6 IB classes, and then like dual enrollments and stuff like that. A lot of like and like overall like a good portion of them were like math and like physics focused. So like up to I took like calculus one, like AP Calc AB. I took calculus two through dual enrollment, calculus three. Like it was like those were both junior year, and then senior year I took differential equations in the fall, and then linear algebra in the spring. And so like I had that like strong mathematics base, and then I took same thing like with the physics track, AP Physics one freshman year, AP Physics two as a sophomore, AP Physics C both mechanics and E&M as a junior, and then IB Physics four as a senior. And so, in addition to that, I was also
Wait,
involved in
well, hold
like,
on. I'm sorry. There's a physics four.
yeah, it's like, bro.
What? Bro, see, I live in Memphis. If you didn't know, I live in Memphis, and
Mm,
so I go to middle college. It's one of the I would say it's the best school in the city, in my opinion. Now we're not a big feeder school. The schools like Ivy Leagues. That's a different school, but we have dual enrollment. So we don't have lots of like we have dual enrollment courses with a local college called CBU, and that's where I took all my math classes. I didn't even know there was a physics four though. We don't have lots of APs. The way we do APs is like online. Most of our AP courses, they're like we get I guess this foundation called the Nice Stronger Foundation pays for us to take them online. I was never able to really do good with them with the online course. Me and online courses, we just don't mix. I can rock, I can ace any course if I'm sitting there in person with a with professor and stuff. But for some
yeah.
reason, the online course never worked for me. But I never knew there was a physics four. The only one I took was one, as far as I got in high school.
But yeah, so yeah, like coursework and like extracurriculars, all the good stuff. And then I think what really like sold it for me, because even despite like the resume I had built up, I didn't have like no research. I didn't have any like, oh yeah, I built this company or did anything crazy like that. I think my main angle was being like one, well-rounded, and then I'll go to like three, I guess. One, being well-rounded, two, being specific with what it is I was trying to say, and then three, what that was I told a story about like overcoming adversity and showing that I was resourceful. Like that, like I knew that going in, and then so like all the different things that I chose to share and like the story that I leaned on highlighted those same like themes, and it created like a cohesive narrative. And I think that's what like helped me to stand out compared to some people who might have had like more impressive resumes but less effective ways of like packaging or expressing it. And like I guess like more like okay, like in terms of stats is like I ended with a 3.9 unweighted GPA, a 5.3 weighted, 1520 SAT score. I think that was like 770 math, 750 reading writing. Um, I had like over 200 community service hours by the time I graduated. I played varsity basketball, varsity volleyball, and ran track and field. I was a part of clubs like the BSU, National Honor Society. Key club was low-key Mickey Mouse, but I was like low-key stat padding. I helped found a club called um Association of Blacks and Latinos Entering STEM. So like helping like build community, stuff like that. And probably a few other things here and there, like the specific volunteer services or like experiences that I had. I'm pretty sure like I listed those. And I think that's the majority of what I credit for getting me in. And like thinking about like my essay in particular, I would also credit like being particularly like emotionally resonant or like vivid with like the imagery that I was sharing. And like I was going about it trying to make sure like worst case scenario, y'all are gonna remember my story and like emotionally what I had been through. And then that was what I was making out, and I guess it worked. I'm
For
not
sure,
bad.
for sure. Yeah. What are you gonna
I'm
say?
I was gonna say like I might have forgot the rest of like what the original question was.
No, you answered it perfectly, bro. You went through a lot of stuff, man. So I mean, yeah, dog. Some of the stuff I did. Now, I will say junior and sophomore year, though I had some dips in my GPA, I was honestly, I would say I was less focused in high school. And people know me, like people, my friends and stuff, like from my school, like they know me. I was SGA president. I was in a mentoring group. I was what did I do in high school? I mostly did just SGA. Have this. Now this is evolved into something a lot greater than what it was in high school. I was summer before senior year. Um, but a lot of the things I did in high school were SGA, and people usually know me as a smart guy. In Memphis, you're from South Florida, right?
Yeah.
It's not common. How common is it for like people like of your caliber to be in South Florida that are black?
Yeah, not very not very
Yeah, it's not common.
yeah, not very common, my bad.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, and Memphis, I would say it's we're not the least common, but we're pretty uncommon. Not even bragging on myself. I didn't have the highest GPA. Like I had a 3.62 unweighted, and my weight was like a 4.4. But I still had a strong math background. I took the highest the one I did. It was weird. I did Calc 1, 2 differential equations first, then Calc 3. Unfortunately, I never got to take linear algebra. I'm trying to take that first semester. But I had 34 super score, ACT score. I tutor other people. That's also what I did. ACT tutoring. I did this MS squared summer program. Have you heard of MS squared before?
I have not. What's that?
No. Yeah. So MS squared always ups up. So MS squared is basically this 3 summer STEM program for minority students. And we go to Phillips Academy. Have you heard of Phillips Academy?
I have not. What's Phillips
You
Academy?
haven't? That's surprising. Okay. Basically it's one of the best boarding schools in the world. It's like a feeder school for lots of big schools. I'm pretty sure you could go to MIT, find someone walking around and say, oh, I went to Phillips Academy for high school. um, but we go up there 3 summers. We're up there with African Americans, Latinx students, and Native Americans. That was the first time I ever met a Latinx student. Not a Latinx student, oh my gosh, Native American.
Mhm.
Um, super uncommon. They're a smaller minority than we are, for lots of things. And so we also do this program. How do I want to describe it? It's like a big performance. So it's called cultural sharing, where basically we as the minority students, students of color, present a play to the campus of Phillips Academy summer session. Because the majority of that campus is white and Asian. And so I was culture sharing leader my last year. And basically, me and 2 other people, we directed a play and kind of showcased our culture through step, dance, song, all that nice stuff.
Right.
And I got a lot of community service hours through SGA. SGA, I was president junior and senior year, but there's so many things that it's like hard to quantify. But I get the best way to put it is that I had like 500 community service hours throughout high school.
Yes, sir.
Um, so of course, obviously not as impressive as you took physics 4. I didn't even know that exists. But yeah, man. Like I said, I watched your videos a lot while I was going through the college admissions process, and I think one thing I took away from it, um, I'm happy where I'm going now. But I think one thing I'll definitely take away from it is, um, comparison is always going to be the thief of joy. Literally, because I was looking at people like you. I was looking like who Jessica Kyle. I know you did an interview
Real.
with her. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I'll be watching all y'all videos. Who else? Go hard. You know what I'm saying? Everybody I can find on LinkedIn. I search up literally like Harvard 28, and I see the stuff that they do on LinkedIn. It was bad, but if you didn't know, our demographic is high school students like you and me.
Mm.
Students who want to go to places like MIT or Harvard or Stanford, all these different types of places. And not even students who want to go there, but people who just want to become successful in general as minority students. Um, so for those who are listening, y'all heard the things he did. I would say the very first thing he started off with, man, you can see it way back in middle school. He took two online classes that got him ahead in math, right? It starts there, like doing things that set you apart from other people. Like that's when it starts. And I know you've covered your essay lots of times. You are in a you're Haitian, correct?
Yeah.
How many siblings do you have?
Five total.
Five total. I have three. Are you youngest or middle or
Youngest
oldest?
child. Yeah, youngest.
Youngest child. I can't tell. I can't tell. I'm a middle
Definitely.
child. Did that have like any influence on like your upbringing?
Yeah, I would say definitely. It was a lot like I took it as I have to tee up because of the fact that like out of the like six of us, I'm the only one to like go to university. And like I clocked it because like since like the age differences are 4, 6, 8, 10, and 13. So like that time in middle school when I'm like 12 or 13, that's because that's like the sibling that's closest to me in age is my sister. She's like a junior in high school, like about to be a senior at this point. And it's like it doesn't seem like she's doing, I guess, like as much of like the preparatory stuff or like looking at college like it's a serious option. Like all my other brothers and like sisters had graduated and like similar, they had either done like a semester at the community college or just like skipped it entirely. And so I'm like, dang, if like at the current rate of like my family was going, it didn't look like anybody was going to be landing careers. And so I saw it as like more of an obligation and duty on myself to like make something shake in that aspect.
I feel the same way. I'm the middle child. So my oldest brother, he is he's disabled. I think he had like a stroke when he was super young, and his arm was paralyzed, and so like his brain ages slower than the rest of his body. So like right now he's like 26, 28, but his brain he's like 7 years old.
Mm.
My older sister, who's younger than my older brother, she went to college for like a semester or two, but unfortunately my family didn't have enough like I guess the phrase is they didn't have enough financial aid, or financial resources to get her through. Um and so she came back home. She did some other things. But now it's my turn. I have a younger brother, but even this is a rare experience. I was having a talk with my mom, my older brother, um, years ago, and she was telling me, one day someone's gonna have to take care of Tyrone, that's his name, because he can't do a lot of things for himself. And so she asked him, Ty, who do you want to stay with? And he was like, Drew. And I was like, oh man, like, he are looking at me to be like the next, you know what I'm saying? The next
Yeah.
up. And so that's part of it too. Um, Even me, like I'm one of the first people in my family, be on the news, get 34s, the things that I'm doing, they're not very common in Memphis and even in my family anyway.
Mm.
So I can definitely relate to that feeling for sure of, feeling like you have to be the breadwinner. You gotta get out and get it. And that was the plan anyway. But
For
that was the plan anyway.
real.
But having family expectations, it pushes you a little harder.
For sure. Hey man, and I
Um,
just told you recently, like I'm proud of you, fam. Like you doing crazy stuff. Like
Thanks,
thanks to you,
man.
fam.
I appreciate you, bro. I don't post on social media anymore, bro. I do, but I don't. It's crazy. So,
Mm.
man, we're trying to get this sponsorship for Science Fair is coming soon. Actually,
Yeah.
viewers watching, it's gonna be a Science Fair in December coming soon. You'll see some more posts about it very, very soon in Memphis. Um, but you know, politics is crazy, man. Like if you see what's going on in Memphis, it's kind of weird. I'm not gonna speak too much about it, but if you look on
Mm.
it, if you look at any representatives, and you'll see. You're a junior, right? Correct? Or you're a senior?
Yeah. I just finished my second year. I'm going into my third.
Okay. So let's talk about this award you just got, man, for this course. Cause
Mm.
I've seen the trajectory. Like I seen the first video of you talking, saying like you were a bum. You don't feel like you you don't feel like you feel like you're a fraud, and then you go to win the entire thing. Like how did that happen, man?
Wait, you said for my trajectory?
Yeah, like the course. Remember the I forget what it's called. You were building a robot. That's the course you had to
Oh,
take. Yeah.
yeah. So with that, that okay, I guess like first and foremost, let me clarify. I did not win the whole thing. My homeboy Cam Wright won the whole thing. Well, I won like a prize for like uh
Yeah.
something design. It was like it looked well put together apparently. And I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like when they told me I won that, I'm like, for real? I'm like, hey, I appreciate y'all. Hey, I wasn't expecting that. I'll take it. But yeah, man, the class was called 2007. It's called like the name of the class is Design and Manufacturing 1. And it's somewhat like the sophomore capstone for mechanical engineers at MIT because it's where you get to put together all the different like theoretical concepts that you've been learning in like the classes that build up to it into an actual like tangible product this time. And so like I'm not gonna lie, like that has been my favorite class that I've taken at MIT to date because like I was somewhat in like in my first year and like the my third semester being like my sophomore fall, I was somewhat dissatisfied with like, dang, bro, I came here to be an engineer. Like, where's the hands-on application of all the physics that I'm doing? You feel me? And so
Mhm.
like getting that and like also getting some not only just making stuff and like okay, using CAD to create a file and then like fabricating that, but like also having the design intent and doing it for a specific challenge that you're trying to solve was really, really interesting. And like what I really appreciated too was the fact that like there's a set number of challenges or like ways to score points on like the game board, but the designs or like ways that people come up to solve like the same problems can vary so wildly. And it's just like getting to see like creativity mixed with the technical skills and then that coming together to create like a like mechanism that is uniquely yours and also a piece of art as much as it is like a piece of like math. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that part of it.
For sure, man. How did you like what was the trajectory? Like what
Mm.
skills did you start learning, and like what did you get better at?
Yeah. So I'm not gonna lie, coming in, I didn't have a lot of like machine shop experience or like I wasn't on like first robotics during high school or any of that. So I was coming in feeling like low key behind, like you mentioned, like to that imposter syndrome. There's kids who like, oh yeah, I grew up in a machine shop. Like, oh yeah, I was in my dad's garage the whole time. Or like, oh yeah, I was on first robotics. So like all this is like familiar
Uh
and like nothing new to me. But meanwhile, I was there like especially like the first 2 weeks. I'm like, damn, bro, how do you really like use the lathe for real? Like they gave me a they gave me a little crash course, but I wasn't really locked in. Or like, yeah, it's like really like simple things of like, okay, you're supposed to set the drill bit to be slightly smaller than what you actually need because like they're slightly off. I'm like, how the hell was I supposed to know that? Um, and then I guess like in terms of the trajectory, it was like a slow start, but then like an eventual like compounding of continual effort, I think is what got me through. And really like being like I wouldn't even say that it was pride. It was like a little bit of fear and like wanting to appear slightly like, oh, I knew what I was doing, or like being afraid of like being a bother or nuisance to the lab staff. But it's like after all, my bro, the whole point of this class is for me to like learn. And so like I might as well just start asking as many questions as possible and like really just like spending more time down in the lab. Like shout out Scott. Shout out Bill, shout out Andy, like that's like the popular shop staff, bro. Like I was down in the trenches with them boys, like, damn, bro. Like they saw me put in like crazy hours. And I would say even like I think my like lowest point in the class, like it was like week 6, because that's when you have the like milestone, yeah, milestone 6. It's like MCM, like your most critical module. It's when you're supposed to have like the basically like the core component of whatever your robot is going to do, in theory, should be like ready to go by then. And like I remember when we did the demonstrations, like, all right, everybody go up, show your thing. Being honest, a good portion of people's things didn't work either. And so that was like I was like kind of stressing myself out like slightly unnecessarily. But even then, like I was in my head about like, damn, I've spent like 6 weeks in this class. There's other kids who have their things functional and whatever. I don't have mine. Am I a fraud? Do I just suck? I was like, I remember like I recorded a video like, damn, I'm a bum and I'm trash. And it's like, damn, I don't know.
Yeah, that was the one I was referencing, man.
But then yeah, like after that, I went on spring break, and I think spring break was really good because like at that point in the semester in general, like 2007 was one class. I was taking a total of 5, and it was just like taking its toll, and I was like near burnout. And so like taking the time to relax and like be in Dominican Republic with my homies and just like reset and remember that my life is more than just like academic achievement, I think really helped put a second wind in my back so that when I came back for the second half of the semester, I was like firing like way closer to like peak performance type beat. But
Yeah,
then like
no,
oh my
go
bad.
ahead. No, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say like just to like wrap it up, like even then there were still like ups and downs through like the end of the semester. I ran into like a pretty tough time crunch, but I was able to like wrap everything up pretty nicely. I had to also like scale back the scope of like what it is that I had originally set out for my robot to do. And I think it kind of goes to like what I think the majority, like the major theme of my sophomore spring was, which was like learning about prioritization and realizing that, dang, there's a bunch of cool opportunities that I can pursue, but if I want to do them like particularly well, I have to reduce that scope a little bit to be like, all right, I'm gonna do these like 1 or 2 things with my robot, and like that's it. And then that I think that
Yeah,
honestly helped me like to the degree that I did like earn that well put together prize, because like I reduced the scope and just said like, okay, I'm gonna try to refine this smaller circle.
sure, for sure. Do you think like the courses you took at your high school prepared you for MIT math? Or do they feel like do you think they did you a disservice? Or is there anything that can prepare you for MIT math? Or is it, are you just cooking for going in?
Yeah, so I would say definitely didn't do me a disservice, but I don't know if like more so on that last part, I don't know if anything could have prepared me for real, for like what I was gonna go into. Um, I think what like I really appreciate was like having a sort of familiarity or like concept of the things that I was touching again when I got to MIT, such as like okay, I've seen what an integral is. I know like the different like okay shell method versus like washer method, like the different integration formulas, things like those. So it's not completely foreign. But the thing about the MIT education that like still threw me is that they make sure that you know things from first principles. Like it's not enough to just know that like this formula corresponds to this, or like I'm trying to think of something specific. It mostly hit me like in terms of like physics. I remember this specifically. Like for me, centripetal force was mv squared over r, and it's like that's all I really needed to know. Like, all right, cool, that's the definition if I needed it to. But they're like, nah, I'm gonna need you to take the cross product between the freaking like the angular momentum and the radius, the vector of the spinning object's radius. And I'm like, bro,
Uh-huh.
what the hell y'all talking about? Like it threw me for a mean loop. And it was similar with the math as well. Like it's not enough to just remember the formula. You have to derive it from like it's like the basic building
Exactly.
blocks.
Yeah. Yep. That makes a lot of sense. That sounds like some MIT stuff. I'm going into honors physics one, first semester. I wanted to take physics honors physics two, but they want me to be placed out of it, but it's okay. Um, do you have suggestions for doing well in those types of courses?
Yeah, I would say off rip, hit up organic chemistry tutor. That man is a godsend. He got, I'm not gonna lie, he the reason I'm even here today, bro. Like that intent, I'm thinking of like physics specific resources. The MIT open, because I guess this is somewhat specific to
Open
like
courseware.
yeah, like open courseware helped me a lot too. I think that came in clutch. Um and then also like ChatGPT. But and
Mhm.
like taking that with a grain of salt, like don't go to ChatGPT and be like, okay, do my homework. But go to it and like, I don't fully understand this concept. Can you like explain it in more depth? And I like it because it's pretty much just like a place where I can like thought vomit questions. And particularly, I think it's important that you like have a strategy that you're using with chat, like, and like, I guess like prompt engineering, so to speak. And so like the way that I usually go about like learning something new with ChatGPT is like, okay, cool. Break this down within the framework of there's a book I read called The 4 Hour Chef by Tim Ferriss. He's also the author of the 4 Hour Work Week. I overall just like trust his approach towards skill acquisition pretty strongly. And he has a framework called DIS, which is D, like the I is just for like to make the acronym actually sound like something. It's mostly like DS3, like
Mhm.
deconstruction, where you break down the skill or the, I guess, problem that you're trying to solve into like distinct Lego blocks. Selection, where you choose which of those building blocks that you like extracted contribute the most to the desired outcome. So like you look at it through the lens of the Pareto principle. So like which 20% or less of actions are responsible for 80% or more of the positive outcome that you're after. And so you like use that to go into sequencing, which is the next S. And so it's like, okay, out of the task that I've identified as having the most like impact or leverage, which one makes sense to like learn first so that the other things compound on top of it? And then finally, the last S is stakes. So what I guess is like the desired use case. And then like I think of stakes as both the carrot and the stick. So like what is it that you're trying to gain that skill in order to do? Like what is the positive outcome that you're running towards? And then if you don't go about doing this, like what are the negative outcomes that can arise? Like that's your stick. And so like having both of those set up. Um I lost the scope. There was what was the original question? Because I got into the weeds of like
I
skill acquisition.
forgot. I forgot the question. I think it was I think it was, do you think
Oh,
the
strategies for doing well
questions
in like
prepared you? Oh yeah, no, yeah, strategies for doing well in physics. Yeah, yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, and then like okay, so yeah, high arching, it's like reach out to your resources. Also, I didn't mention so like resources include like organic chemistry tutor, MIT open courseware, ChatGPT with like that framework in mind. I'm gonna finish fleshing it out in a second, but then also
Uh-huh.
I would heavily recommend going to the office hours because like
Office hours.
yeah, like the ground truth for any class you're going to take in college is that the TAs write the exams. Like the professors might be involved or whatever, but the people who are like vetting it to like taking the exam before you take the exam are the TAs, so they know the most like specifically and like it's the most fresh on their mind what's going to be tested. And so like
Mhm.
getting it directly from the source, I would say it was like it took me until like I think I might have been like freshman spring, like late in the game to realize, bro, just like it's the cheat, it's the method, bro. I'm not gonna lie, it really is the method. Like they gonna put you like especially like with the P test too, like if you start like at the beginning of the class, like okay, when the homeworks come out, like checking it with them to like making sure that you're learning it, or like making sure that you're learning the concepts that they are trying to get across the most heavily, because that's what's going to translate to the exams that they write, and then you'll just overall be better suited for it. But then, okay, back to I really like I left it.
DS3.
Yeah, yeah. So I got through the acronym, and then pretty
Uh-huh.
much like I would go into ChatGPT and I would give it that additional context in the prompt. I'm like, okay, draw from principles of Tim Ferriss's 4 Hour Chef, specifically his DS3 framework, also from Josh Waitskin's Art of Learning. That was like the making smaller circles point I had like reference from. Also Jim Quick has a book called Limitless, and those are all like books on like meta learning and like how to learn faster. And so I'm like, okay, from the principles that are in those books, help me break down specific subtopics. So in physics, it might be help me break down the like law of conservation of energy. Like, so when will I most use this? Like, what are its use? Like, from Limitless, I think the three questions it gives is like, why must I use this? When will I use this? And what will I use it on? And so I would basically like bake all of those different things into ChatGPT and then tell it to ask me like clarifying and or like look diagnostic questions to like gauge my understanding. And then from there, it's like I'll basically be like, okay, quiz me until I reach a point where I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And then from there, let's drill in on whatever that knowledge gap is.
Hmm.
So yeah, and then like what last thing in terms of like general learning philosophy is like the delta between like learning for real, it's how quickly can you ask the correct questions to identify what you don't know and then go fill that knowledge gap. And so like using
Mm,
different tools to make that process faster is like the name of the game.
for sure, for sure. That's a lot of stuff that people like don't really use. Like even at college level, even at like past college, like full-time jobs at different, software engineering positions, Google, stuff like that. People don't even use that. So I'll definitely take note of that for sure whenever I'm looking into these courses because I'm looking to be on a accelerated track basically. So I took a lot of dual enrollment courses in high school. Um, something like I think it was like 20, 19, 20 classes. Um, and so thanks to that, I can skip a few. So instead of like Calc 1, which is the track that computer science majors would have to be on, I'm taking like trying to take linear algebra. And then instead of what are the courses supposed to be taking? I don't even know. I'm trying to take stats.
Mhm.
So I can take the machine learning course next semester, along with data structure and algorithms and all the other courses and stuff too.
Real.
And speaking of that, you double major in computer science and mechie, right?
Um, like combo major. So it's I guess like to give additional context, the name of the major I have is like 2A6. So at
Oh, I forgot.
MIT,
MIT is weird like that. My bad.
yeah, like they gave everything. Now I'm like, all right, bro, I get y'all do math, bro, but like, damn. So, like, quick rundown. Course two is like the name for mechanical engineering, and then course six is like the electrical engineering and computer science department. And so,
Uh-huh.
2A6, like the A is for mechanical engineering flex, and then you get to pick a concentration. And then for my concentration, I picked computer science and like the mechatronics and like robotics side pretty much.
Okay. How much like computer science stuff do you do like on a daily basis?
I would say it depends on like the project. So like for the robot I built for 2007, it wasn't a hard requirement since like it was mostly like a course two class. But since I had taken like an intro to autonomous machines that not freshman, sophomore fall, I took intro to autonomous machines and electronics and circuit design. And so it gave me like that framework of knowing how to build a circuit and like knowing how to use, for example, like the Arduino to like a higher degree because of like things I had seen before. And like I was I think Arduino is like a derivative of C++. plus plus. Like in my coding classes, I had learned Python, but
Uh,
the same core principles of like object-oriented programming and like those data structures and algorithms transfer over. And so it would come up and yeah, like I would say fairly often, but obviously not as much as like a pure computer science major might.
sure, for sure. Now, this one may be a little controversial. I think you may actually have the same opinion of these two students. So, for context, my co-founder and I, we just interviewed a Harvard student and a Princeton student. They
Mhm.
were part of the MS Square program. Um, and we asked them like, "Yo, do you think the hard part of getting into college or getting into these schools is harder than staying?" And they said no. What do you think? Do you think it's harder to be at MIT than to get into MIT? Like, what's your stance?
Um, I would say, yeah. And like, I think partially because of how hard it was to get in, it does also sting a bit more once you realize that, like, oh, I'm not done. That's, I think,
Yeah.
what's making me mad. It's like, damn, I thought I beat the game. I thought, like, where my medal? It's like, nah,
uh
get back to work.
That's
And
exactly what they said too, bro.
yeah,
Yep.
bro. And like in addition to that, it's also like the compet obviously like okay, the specific coursework and like the thing that you're learning ratchet up a little bit, but especially if you're like of the like type of resume of people that ended up at those like higher institutions, you were probably near top of your school to like top of your class. And so you were low-key like used to sitting pretty or like not necessarily things always coming easy, but like, all right, I'm
Mhm.
pretty comfortably near the top of my class. I know I'm performing well. I'm getting this external achievement and like accolade and like validation. And then you get to this new like, okay, I'm big fish, small pond. And then you get dropped in the ocean and there's sharks. And it's like, damn.
Yep, yep.
And
That's
so it's like,
definitely her.
yeah, man.
That's what I'm anticipating. Well, not in, I guess, thinking about because UT Knox, like the undergraduate population is like 2,500 people. No, no, it's not. I'm lying. 25,000. My bad. Yeah, and the freshman class, I think it's like, what is it? 6,000, 6,500.
Mm,
And I think the percentage of black students, black undergraduate students, is like two, three. So it's like a thousand, couple thousand of us. And
mm,
they graduated like seven black people with a computer science degree like a
mm.
couple years ago. So it was like only seven out of like the hundreds.
Yeah.
So I think it was like 1,000 of them who graduated, and it was like only seven people who were black who graduated computer science. So I'm gonna be one of the one of the ones.
Like,
I'm gonna be one of the ones.
yeah.
Is it the same way for you at MIT?
Um, in terms of like, I guess like black population graduating with like a STEM degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say I think I'm not sure exactly what the demographics are now with the incoming class of 2029. Like it might have switched it a bit, but the last time I checked,
Uh-huh.
like black people make up like less than 4% of MIT's overall population. And so,
Mm.
yeah, like in terms of like finding community, I'm not gonna lie, like a good portion of what I think like led me to like struggle in my first like 2-ish years there so far is like that not a lack of community entirely, but it doesn't feel the same as like when I'm home, for example, and like the majority of like just walking down the street, it's a higher immigrant and like person of color population. And so yeah, like not to say that it's all bad, but there definitely are times and situations in where I'm like made painfully aware of me being different or other.
Mhm. For sure. Like how do you deal with that like back at home? Like is it like a when you get home, is it like a safe space, or is it different from when you're at on campus versus back at home, or people looking at you like, man, you're up at MIT doing different stuff? Like, does it like cause a rift in your friendships? Like, what is that like?
Yeah, so I would say I think I'm particularly lucky in that I don't think I necessarily get the like, oh, you've changed or like you're acting fake type thing because like the circle that I had developed by the time I was like leaving Florida was more of like academically focused as well. Because like since I went to that feeder school, like the circle that I was keeping around me was more like on their P's and Q's in that per se, or in that like I guess sense. But I would say like going back home is like get the curse, especially when it comes to like family, because
Mhm.
like most recently, like this time when I went back home for this summer, the theme I was really chewing on was like a feeling of like helplessness to a degree of like I'm at MIT, I'm doing these things that might look cool on paper and like I'm developing myself professionally and academically, but then I'll come back to a lot of like the same material conditions I had when I left. Like mom still living in the same house, siblings still like going about their like jobs and like that life path as opposed to like getting a career. And like I'm home and it just makes me somewhat like sad and like it like just feel for the fact that I can't make as much change to their conditions as I would have wanted to at the moment.
Mhm.
And I would, yeah, and again, I would say I'm like, particularly grateful in the fact that like they're mostly supportive and like continue to do good things like over there, but there is the level of like, yeah, I don't fully understand and or like are on the same like sort of timing that I'm on in that regard. And so like going back home, I'm not gonna lie, I also lose a bit of my edge in terms of like iron does sharpen iron. And so while MIT might be a little bit more isolating, it does kind of also force me to be more locked in because like that's just like the culture there. And I feel myself like not like that it's a complete knock against them, but like if it's iron sharpening iron at MIT, it's like I'm going back and then like it might be, I don't know, more like copper or bronze that I'm like sharpening myself against.
For sure. Being a computer science major, like by when I say this, by all means, my folks got it. Like I am well taken care of.
Mhm.
Um, but when it came to coding, like I didn't really have the computers to download the IDEs on, like I had
Yeah.
my school computers and stuff, but I couldn't really download stuff on there to code specifically. It was in what is it? July of last year, I was blessed enough to get this this MacBook I have right now, and it was straight up free. And that's part of the one of the benefits of the MS Squared program. They have a large alumni network. And so
Right.
one of the people who work at Apple who graduated like 86, he came down, he was like, and I was talking to my TAs. So
Hmm.
they have TAs for different courses we take. Like, of course, they teach calculus in the last year, the third years. We get a college counseling course. And then a lot of that knowledge is what I try to teach the students via TOF. And we have a science course, physics course. And I was talking to one of the new computer science TAs. He went to Dartmouth. Um, and I was telling him about, computer science major. How can I get better at this? Or I want to start coding. I don't have a laptop. What should I do? And thankfully, he was able to talk to the director of the program. He was like, "Yo, this kid needs a laptop," and I got a laptop like that. Like days later, it was crazy. I couldn't believe the email when I saw it.
Hmm.
And so truly being able to give that feeling back to some of my own students is amazing. But I completely forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh, we good.
What was I gonna say? See, all these interviews I've been doing with the news, it's got me into say yourself mode. That's what it is. Yeah. I never really had like a friend group that was like well versed in computer science and like any like type of colleagues or anyone who I could interact with that really coded for real and knew their stuff. So being able to go into UT and finding a group of people, is really nice because computer science, at least in my school, is not very popular. I think I'm like one of the only people. Now, granted, my school is pretty small. Our graduating class is like 70, and we get the population of our school like 320. Um, but even then, I'm a pretty big introvert. I keep to myself, and of course, um, I would say the world is an extrovert world. You gotta learn how to break out of that shell sometimes when it comes to that's what I had to do for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, being able to, I think that's gonna be pretty accurate. And thankfully, I'm now finding more people who are well versed in coding, thanks to being able to, put myself out there and find the opportunities that I was like, oh my God, where are they? Like they're right here. You just had to look for them. You just had to go out and get it.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. Just go out and get it, man. If you don't take anything away from this, viewers, go out and get it, man. That's what this guy did. He's here now. He continues to go out and get it every single day, pushing himself. Um, Speaking of that, I was just watching your video. I think it was probably on prioritization. Um, and in January, you talking about how you didn't have everything lined up for your internships, but now
Yeah.
but you are an intern at a Meki startup now. What was
Yeah.
that process like? Like, do you have any tips for incoming students on internships or anything like that?
Yeah. So it's really funny, bro. Like I didn't land it until like April of my freshman, not my freshman, of my sophomore spring. And so
Uh,
it's like if I were to distill tips and like what I think worked for me is to just keep shooting your shot because you don't know what's gonna land. Like I would say like that's like more than anything, just like shoot for as many opportunities as make sense for you. And like I didn't get mine until April. My homie, like he bro, mind you, this man landed Amazon like Seaport. They paying this man like 30 band for the summer, and he didn't land that
oh,
until like May. And so
till
like
May?
yes,
When did he
like
start?
he started, I think, like that the next like the week after, like it was like right after the semester ended. So like our semester ended like
Oh no, like
May.
when did he start searching, like applying?
Oh, since like beginning of the year. So like he was at
Oh
like the same at the
no,
beginning, bro, because he's a sophomore now too.
no, no, it's okay. I'm tripping.
So like I was like, you definitely got it, bro. But like competition is definitely fierce. But I think like this is like something I remember from when I used to play basketball too. Like my coach used to say, like, bro, game ain't over till that clock stop. So it's like until the clock stop, bro, keep shooting, fam. And I feel like those are two examples that prove that point. But to like my personal experience, I'm gonna be honest, I kind of like I wasn't like full pedal to the metal for real until I think like around January. During sophomore fall, I was doing like research and I was like going to career fairs here and there. But being honest, like at the career fairs, especially like if you're coming in as a freshman, that's not going to be like the main, but like the main, I think, benefit of going to the career fairs is networking sometimes with the people that are in the line next to you and maybe getting like a warm face at one of the companies that you might want to plot on. And so be like and the reason for that being like your resume is just not going to be as impressive as a junior just because they've had more time to develop and like gain experiences that would make their resume look better. And so I would say like the main thing that really helps is like who you know and like which opportunities they can like point you in the direction of.
Like referrals
And
and stuff.
yeah, and just like even yeah, like sometimes it'll be a person at the company who can like give you a preferred application, or they can just like put in a good word for you. But like things like those where it's like the front door is not the only way that you can get in. And like the front door for like a lot of people is gonna be like that, like the careers website that they're gonna point you towards, but like everybody they have like 1,000 or like 10,000 applications through that route. So if you can like get in contact with somebody who's like on the recruiting side, that's gonna like immediately give you an additional leg up. And so I guess if like okay, coming into like your freshman year, if you're trying to set yourself up for like landing a summer internship by the end of it, I would definitely say this where it depends a bit on like what your field is, because then like the experiences that look good for a mechie resume might look slightly different than what's important for a software dev resume.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna tailor my advice to you as a software engineer specifically. I would say join orgs like Color Stack, like a Nesby, like BSU, not as directly related to the STEM field, but just like get things on your resume that one, okay, cool, here's like leadership experiences and like the Color Stack and Nesby in particular is like, okay, they might also be able to point you towards like fellowships or like scholarships that you might not be aware of otherwise. Like I know that like NVIDIA has their Ignite program. I know there's like the Google Fellows, there's like Microsoft, like there's a couple different things that these companies do to essentially like give you a purview and or like low key leg up to their
Wait,
application process.
what are fellowships actually? Like I keep hearing the word, but I never really knew what it was.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like even now, like I my definition of it is still somewhat vague, but it's like basically like programs for career readiness and low key they put you onto like a preferred application for whatever that company's like internship portal is going to be. And it's pretty much just
Okay.
like it's a way to signal additional interest and initiative that you're taking towards like working at that company in particular. And also like it like transfers a little bit like for example like you can do like a Google fellowship or something like that and then go apply to NVIDIA and it still gives you like some additional like boost of like okay they're trying to better like develop themselves in a career aspect but obviously it's like you did my like runway track and then you're applying for like my like company's internal internship and just like the connection there like makes a little bit more sense as a pipeline too.
That makes
Um,
sense. That makes sense.
I would also recommend like going to conferences. Like I would definitely try to go to like Nesby Nationals and or Afrotech.
I was just gonna ask you about those experiences. Are you going to Afrotech this year?
Yes,
I
I
need
look
to try to
forward to
go, bro. I'm trying to go find a hotel, something.
that.
I'm trying to get there, man.
Yeah, man. Because like I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be my first Afrotech because I like missed it the first 2 years. Because like I said, I'm not gonna lie, like, I was just like, what was I doing? I was like focused on my Europe and like other things, and just I low-key like let it slip by. But this time I'm like, nah, I'm gonna need that. But I would say like
Yeah.
I did go to Nesby Nationals like this past spring and the it was like bro, I think like 10 like 15 of my friends landed jobs at that convention alone like day of offer type thing. And so it's just like and also like as a person of color they're just going to be like more favorable towards you because those events are like catered to and for like people of color, you know?
Sure, for sure. That's definitely on my radar. Whenever I was doing research for any of the essays I was writing for these colleges, I was like, yo, I'm definitely joining SB wherever I go.
Real.
It doesn't matter. SB is definitely where I'm going. And where I'm going to be trying to apply myself and get different experiences on my resume and whatnot. I think I'm having sort of a similar problem to you earlier on.
Mhm.
Like, I have so many goals. I got a lot of goals. I got a lot of things I want to do this first year. Um, so how did you? I know you were just talking about prioritization. Like, how did you get through and sort through all your thoughts and all of that?
I would heavily recommend journaling and just like the capture, like the yeah, like overall giving yourself a space with which to capture your thoughts. Like different methods, like I've seen work for different people. I like my Apple Notes a lot just because like I can pull it out, like say I'm like in the middle of the day or like just something comes to mind and just start like typing it out and like just getting that separation and like zooming out from all the different things that are on my mind somewhere tangible and like external for me helps a lot.
Mhm.
Uh Also like more tactically, like the Eisenhower matrix helps a lot for me. So like basically like it's like a 4x4 square. You create two axes. Like going up is like importance, and then like going to the left is like urgency. And so like if something's in the top left box, it's both important and urgent, and so you should do it now. If it's very important but not necessarily urgent, you should like schedule it. If it's urgent but not important, you should delegate it. And then if it's neither important or urgent, you should eliminate it. And so just like basically like yeah, I think I have it on like there's like a video I have on YouTube. It's called something like
Mhm.
I burnt out, so here's what I did next. And it's
Go
pretty
check him out on YouTube, by the way. He has like 1,000 videos, amazing content. I mean, anything he's saying here, he's explained it tenfold on his YouTube channel, Instagram, TikTok, all that. Go hit him up. My bad, had to plug you right quick.
I appreciate you, gang. But yeah, like basically the process that I went through is like, okay, here are all the different projects or opportunities that I'm thinking would make sense for me to go like potentially prioritize, have them out like big mind map, just like all right, whatever comes to mind, write it down, write it down, write it down. And then like start distilling from there, like try to like sort of like, okay, this activity, how important is it? How urgent is it? All right, it falls into one of those four squares. And then I would say like in addition to creating a list of priorities, which are going to be heavily determined by your strong why. So like it kind of goes in tandem with the journaling. So like, okay, if you're going into a new year, I would say definitely start off with writing like a list of intentions and like what does an ideal year or like list of accomplishments look like when you're done, and then like slightly work backwards from there. It's like, okay, I know I might want to, I know I'm like, for example, like I want to end with like a summer internship. I want to end with like XYZ GPA and or like with these different accolades. Are what would be needed in order to have that be true? I would need to, for example, like study XYZ many hours, da 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 da. And then you're gonna have like a list of things that you would like things of projects, I guess, I how I like separate them. And it's like, okay, out of these different projects, which one of these, if done first, would make all the others easier or relevant is like a good question for filtering. And then also like the Eisenhower matrix goes in tandem with that. And I think those are the two main things that help. And then just like the practice of journaling and meditation too, because they like, at least for me, like give me that extra like notch of consciousness and like mindfulness that helped me to stay focused on what I had set out as my priorities. Because like setting the priorities or like setting the plan is low key the easier part. It's like keeping yourself consistent and true to that commitment that you made that really is the issue.
For sure, for sure. I'm Leffy gone. I'm gonna rewatch this when we're done. You've been dropping a lot of useful things that I'm definitely gonna have to come back and use. I remember you mentioning research you were doing earlier.
Mhm.
Can you disclose that, or is that like a
Yeah, no
where you
problem.
can't say anything? Oh, okay, cool, cool.
So the first research opportunity I did was my sophomore fall. It was with MIT's Sea Grant office or Sea Grant lab. I was working under Professor Andrew Bennett, being like so like the project I was working on was helping out on the autonomous modules for the Sea Perch 2. But being quite honest, it sounds way cooler than like I feel like I actually ended up contributing just because of the fact that like sophomore fall, I'm not gonna lie, like that was like the error that helped me correct it in sophomore spring of like, okay, we gotta get our priorities in order. Because I think
Hmm.
like I had put a little bit too much of my effort towards like the content and SAT tutoring side. And so my academics kind of took a hit as a result of that. And so but I still definitely did get a valuable experience like working with like Arduino code and like debugging a little bit of essentially like the programming for like the autonomous underwater vehicle. And then the second research opportunity I was involved in was over January. It's called like at MIT is a period they call IAP, which is like independent activities period. And so I was working with MIT's Media Lab as a participant in a student assembly, which was also like, so the topic of the student assembly was how can we set MIT up to have a more sustainable future, specifically to hit its goals of carbon neutral by 2026 and then zero carbon by 2050. But then so and like the structure of that is there were a bunch of students that were chosen as delegates, so to speak, and so we would like be brought topics and asked to deliberate over them and in like the style of a citizens assembly. So like basically just discussing the issues that go along with that climate change topic and then coming up with co-created suggestions for MIT's Office of Sustainability and like environmental impact initiatives. And the whole time we were also being recorded, and the transcripts from those were used to create AI powered like summarization tools and essentially to like give us back what we had said in more digestible formats. And I was like a part of helping both like I guess like contributing to the data that was being collected, but then I also ended up writing a paper on the impact of AI surveillance on people's comfortability within those sorts of environments.
Did that contribute? Do you think that was like a large contributor to you getting the internship at that startup?
I believe so, in the sense that it's just like it helps to add additional things to your resume.
Hmm.
But I think like in terms of like landing the internship specifically, I had landed it through something called MIT's Posen Fellowship, where
Uh-huh.
that's offered through the Martin Trust Center for Entrepreneurship, and pretty much they had plugged me up through their internal, like basically MIT has a startup accelerator called Delta V, and the company that I'm working for now are alumni of that accelerator that had like spun off and done their
Mm.
own thing. And so the
Okay.
purpose of the fellowship is basically to match like entrepreneurially minded undergraduates with one of those like early stage startup companies so that you can get an education both in the field that the company is working on. Like in my case, it's mechanical engineering, as well as like the admin, like business ops side of like what it's like to run a startup. And the process for it was yeah, that also goes again to like just being tangible and like forming those connections and like meeting people that can point you towards opportunities like that. Because I was only made aware of that as a result of like attending like I think it was like a mixer or stuff. Like it's like a mixer or like informational session at the trust center. Like they were just hosting an event. I'm like, all right, cool. Like a random Thursday after class. I'm like, I got like the email endorsement. I'm like, might as well just go like pull up and see what the event is because like I'm interested in entrepreneurship. And then they're like,
Hmm.
yeah, what do we do? We got this like internship thing that's available. You just gotta apply by so and so date. And then that's what I did. And then I got like the interview with the two co-founders. And I would say the main thing that got me through, it's just it's also like characteristic of like the approach that I take to most things in my life. It was just I just showed up as myself and was honest about what it is I was trying to do there. And like they asked me to speak a bit about the projects that were on my resume. So like they asked me a bit about my time at Sea Grant and like my time at the Media Lab and like what my work style was and how I go about problem solving. And I was just like, overall, I think what helped me the most was establishing a connection with the person that was interviewing me more so than trying to like just sell myself as a resume. Is like, okay, I'm a person
Hmm.
talking to another person and like also like thinking about it is like that's the like 'cause yeah, even right now like I work with the same people who had interviewed me like every day, like we're sitting like right next to each other in the office, and so like understanding that the and like yeah, understanding the incentives and motivations of the person that's on the other side of the table as you, and like for them in that case they're trying to pick a team member and somebody that they can not just tolerate but that they'd enjoy working next to and
Working with,
mentor yeah
yeah,
like mentoring for the next like 3 months.
yeah, that's super nice. I think I've been watching, YC startup,
The AI startup.
their yeah, their playlist.
Yeah.
I listen. So I got an internship teaching computer science and to little kids as a camp counselor, made of the
Okay.
nonprofit in Memphis, and I watched that on the way to work every single morning.
Mm.
Like I just listened to it, and it is. I think listening to podcasts like that is really put a difference. It's changed the way I think about certain things. Like about growth and a product and the way certain things succeed, or the way certain companies make a profit, or how they succeed, how they grow, how they tailor towards their users, all of that. So,
Yeah.
do you watch it or listen
Not
to it?
not that playlist in particular, but I would say some like resources that I would heavily recommend or that I would like credit a lot with like my current understanding of business and like the startup world in general. Like, I don't know, Ground Truth, like, because it was like the first one I read. Like, 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss is what I think really just like sold me on what a possibility of like the lifestyle might look like if I went and did something and took the risk myself, as opposed to just like becoming an employee for a different organization. Um,
Exactly.
$100 million by Alex Hormozy, and then also in tandem with that $100 million Leads, which is like the sequel or like follow up to that. I think also helped it helped me like the main takeaway I got from that one was the anatomy of an offer and like what good like he has like something called a value equation, and like basically value created is desired outcome multiplied by perceived likelihood of achievement divided by time and effort required. So like if you can make something faster, it's more valuable. If you can make something require less effort and or like automate it, which is like what a lot of like code-based solutions do, that's going to add value. Or if you can like make the desired outcome higher, so it's like for example, like an ice cream cone is like had the desired outcome of like giving you a sugar rush versus like
Right.
the desired outcome of like say an admissions coach is like changing the trajectory of your life. And so therefore
Exactly.
you could like it's going to be more valuable and you can therefore charge more. And then perceived likelihood is essentially like how much did the person trust you? Is like, okay, everybody on the internet who's like, oh, I'm gonna make you a Bitcoin millionaire in 10 days. Like, okay, 10 days and you don't have to do anything. It hits the boxes of short time delay, not a lot of effort required, high desired outcome of getting rich. But then I don't believe you because you're trying to sell me a course on like YouTube and like everybody else and their mother is like the Ty Lopez, like I'm in my garage, like you just don't trust them as much. Um,
Right.
there was a book called Influenced by Robert Cialdini. It wasn't so much about like startups in particular, but just like interacting and like just like learning to communicate. I think you had mentioned a little bit earlier of like how you are introverted in nature. I would say very much the same. And so like I went about solving that problem low key like an engineer. I was like, all right, cool. We're gonna learn psychology and like how to talk to like I swear to God, this is like I might have put it as like an actual like, specific like how to talk. We're gonna learn how to talk to people better. God damn it. And so like that helped. Terms like business books, I would say The Psychology of Money was particularly helpful, like just thinking about finances more.
Mhm.
The War, the War of Art doesn't particularly count. That was more so like a book on like how to overcome like not burnout, but like writer's block and like creative stifling. Business book. Oh, Never Split the Difference, which was a book about negotiation and like it helped with like sales. And then more so about like the specifics about like understanding that business is about creating value for people as opposed to just trying to extract rent or like raise a bunch of investment capital. I think the book it's like Running Lean by Ash Maurya, and I think it's like the Lean Startup is by the same person. But basically like the main principle I took from that book is that the value you create is only tied to like if you are helping somebody with a given problem, and the best way to make sure you do that is by co-creating the product with them instead of like going into the basement like, oh, I know everybody can need this, I know everybody can need it, and then trying to like market it after. If you go from the perspective of asking people what their fears, frustrations, aspirations, struggles, or challenges are, and then create a
Yeah,
solution to solve that, you're going to be like, much more likely to have good product market fit. And then also,
exactly.
I'd be remiss if I didn't include this last one because it's the course I took this semester with Bill Aulet. He has a book called Disciplined Entrepreneurship, and I think like it has a 24-step framework that I would heavily recommend that like a really good starting location or position to go from.
Sure. All these books, all the lessons you've learned, all the skills you've been able to amplify using that knowledge, do you think like what type of skills do you think you think you would have been better to learn earlier, like in your life, like during high school that you wish you had beforehand to make your life a little easier? Like say you had started reading these books in high school. If you did, then my bad. But say you started reading them a little earlier, then do you think your life would have been different? Like, do you think you'd be more successful?
Um, yes and no. I think certain books, like if I would have read like Atomic Habits a little bit earlier, I think that would have been helpful. but
Mhm.
not necessarily if I would have read $100 million Weeds, just because like I wouldn't, because I think there's two different like levers here. Like one is like access to the information, and then there's also like implementation and execution of said information. And so what I think, because like I read the 4 Hour Work Week for the first time, like um sophomore year of high school, like during COVID and stuff. And it was cool in terms like it put the battery in my back and like started like leading me towards areas where I would get more education in that field. But I think I also got into a period of analysis paralysis where I was like reading all this new information and like I'm learning all this stuff from these different books. But since I'm not actually taking any action to apply said knowledge, it's not like the rate of growth isn't as important. And it's like, cool, you can keep shoveling more and more knowledge and or more books at me, but until I go take the action to start like applying it, it doesn't really matter. And so I would say definitely like read the books, but more importantly, like yeah, I would say like it's more effective to like read one or two books, but then actually apply the principles than it is like, oh, I read 10 books this month, but then like I didn't do any like my life still looks the exact same in terms of like the actions that I'm taking.
For sure. I like that. I like that. I'm definitely gonna start looking into that type of stuff. I think I'm gonna be a big fan of audiobooks eventually. Like I
Mm,
find even on the way here, because it's like a 6 hour drive from Memphis to Knoxville. I
mm,
was looking at listening to like lecture two of Andrew Nings. I forgot how to say his last name, but his course at Stanford about machine learning, Stanford 229 or CS 229. And stuff like that has just been really useful for me. Like even we had a senior class trip to Atlanta for
mm.
touring stuff like last semester. And not last semester, oh my gosh, October 2024. And I was watching Gilbert Strain. I was watching
Mm.
his course on linear algebra at MIT. And I mean, I'm a nerd, so I like stuff like that. But like
Real.
a lot of my folks, they ain't, it's like, you watching that? Like,
I
like,
felt
bro,
that.
what you doing?
Yeah.
But you had people around you that was like similar to that, right? Like kind of nerdy with you in the same point,
Nah,
quote
not
unquote, quote
really.
unquote nerdy. Even at
Um,
the magnet school.
yeah, I would say like it was higher there, but
Hmm.
slightly yeah, I guess like there's two different environments I was thinking of. So like at home, I very much had that like what is dude reading? Like, bro, what you mean you reading right now? Like I definitely got that from like my older siblings and whatnot. And then like at the like same thing in low key like middle school too. It's like it was since I was like at a more I guess like less academically competitive middle school. It was like similar things like bro, this nerd, hey dude, you feel me? Um, and I think
Yeah.
at the like when I got to high school, it was yeah, it was like there is that like level of camaraderie. Like there's people who share your interests a little bit more, but I was like the alienation and like the fact that they didn't reflect my background was like it started there a little bit too. And so like the people I
Mhm.
found myself hanging around was like my basketball team, and it wasn't that they weren't like I guess against it, but it was more so like they're trying to like listen to music or whatever pregame, and then like I'm the
Yeah.
calculus homework or something like that.
Just having a harder course load. I can
Yeah.
definitely relate to that for sure, for sure. How many mentors did you have throughout high school? And like what mentors do you have now, if any?
Um, Throughout high school, when I think of mentorship, probably like yeah, no, definitely shout out Miss New Hagen. She a real one. That was like one of my like I had her all 4 years. She was my like physics
Hmm.
teacher. As same thing with Mrs. Russell. I didn't have her all 4 years. I think I had her like three out of the four. She was my like math and like she taught me like higher order like calculus and differential equations classes.
Hmm.
My basketball coach, I would list like Coach Powell. Uh, Additional, I guess, like background context, like my relationship with my biological father isn't really great, slash like existent, and so I really appreciate.
Felt.
Yeah, man. And so like I really appreciated the like archetypal or like amorphous father figure that I was able to get from my involvement in organized sports. Because like you get
Hmm.
those core principles of like, okay, here's a disciplined, structured environment where somebody is providing you with challenge and adversity, but it's out of a desire to see you do better and grow from it. And it was like somebody like you're not doing enough, but and like I'm gonna make you do like freaking suicide. Oh my God, I hated suicide so bad. Or like I'll make you run the
I
bleachers.
don't think anyone likes suicides. If you do, then you
Yeah,
just
bro,
like
you're
running.
lunatic,
You
bro.
you like running anyway.
It's like like yeah, so like basically someone who's pushing you past your limits because they believe in you. I would credit like shout out basketball and like Coach Carrington and Coach Dante as well. I gotta shout them boys out. And then nowadays, I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting any like mentors in high school. I think those are the majority of them. And then there's like the amorphous ones of like the books I was reading. Yeah, I would credit those two because like I like okay, like I don't have like a physical father figure, and the people in my direct immediate family might not have like lives that I may aspire to. And so like I think I was particularly lucky with my access to the internet that I was able to find those sorts of figures or role models for myself. And so Tim Ferriss was definitely one of them. There's this guy named Charlie Hubert. He has a podcast called the Dropping In podcast that I would credit with like a lot of, I would say, like my emotional and like maturity and development, just because like a high emphasis on internal reflection and like the meditate. Like he put me onto the book Six Pillars of Self-Esteem, and I would credit that book with a good portion of like the self work that I've done so far. Um, Also to a degree, Alex Hermosi, just like
Mhm.
especially in the realm of business. Like I don't know if I want to like aspire to the heights of productivity that he like lives by, but I definitely think there's a lot to learn from that aspect. Um, yeah, I think those were like the three main ones in high school, and then like other like books and stuff that I had read. Then in college, mentors. Oh, yeah, there's like a network of alumni that I've like reached out to. And so I would say my guy Josh Langford, I have like a episode where I recorded with him. My guy Reggie, not like I guess the age difference is a bit closer, so he feels kind of like a big bro. He's like a Harvard grad and just finished like up his master's at Columbia, like in the startup world, stuff like that. And like we chop it up
Mm.
like the Learnwell like Zoom calls that we doing, like pretty regular
Uh-huh.
contact with him. Um some of my professors, like especially when I was taking this course 007, like a part of that reaching out for help was me like just setting up one-on-ones with one my like lab instructor. His name is Professor Wiseman. Like bro, shout out him, bro. He a real bro. Because like I think it was like yeah, going back to that one video of like, damn, I felt like a fraud and I suck. Like I literally after or like while I was recording that video, he came in and he was like, bro, nah, you're chilling, bro. Like you're exactly where you need to be. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and like he was like a very important, I think, piece to like that process of 2007, like helping to imbue that level of confidence in my own abilities. Um, I'm forgetting more people. Dr. AJ Perez. That was like I was just being like a LinkedIn demon and just like shooting shots, and he eventually like responded to me. And I remember I was like hitting him up like over the course of the semester, like, dang, bro, I'm not gonna lie. I think like the last piece of interaction I had with him was like I'm like conflicted whether or not I should be focusing a bit more on the entrepreneurial side or if I should like focus on my classes. He's like, bro, do the schoolwork, bro. You be all right. I'm like, all right. He's like the entrepreneurship stuff will be waiting. Like you only get one chance at trying to get an MIT degree, so like make sure that you end up getting it for real. I'm like, really appreciate you. Um,
Mm.
Dr. Philip Daniel similarly met him through a program called MIT UPOP. So it was like reaching out to people and basically like just yeah, like it was the whole point of the exercise was to go find a mentor in the alumni network. And he does like similar career path as me, like in the mechatronics or robotics field. Same with Dan Bobuff. He's another person I'd met through the alumni network. And he had like very similar like financial aid struggles and like issues throughout his time at MIT as I did, and so we connected and like bonded over that, and like I really appreciated his help in that regard. And this is gonna sound crazy, but like Lupe Fiasco, because man was
I
like
seen his video. Well, I actually haven't watched it, but I'll be watching it. I watched it. It'll pop up like I'll pop up on my recommended page, and I'll see it, and then I'll see something else I want to watch, and I'll click on that. Like I'll see his video. I gotta watch it eventually, bro. But yeah.
yeah, man, like because I took a class of his because like side note or like tangent again is like I'm also like particularly interested in like hip hop music and like I've been writing like
Mhm.
raps and stuff I think since like around seventh grade as like another way to like process some of those like repressed emotions such as like frustration, anger, and or like what I couldn't have identified, but looking back on was like depression or whatever. Like it would come out through like music, especially like in that area. Like when I was like in seventh grade or whatever, it was because I was listening to a lot of like X before he had passed away. So like that 17 album and like the question mark album were like all up in my playlist.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start pinning stuff like that. And so like I get to MIT and it's like, oh, there's a class on rap theory and practice. I'm like, sign me up
Mhm.
for that shit. I'm gonna need that. So, like,
Yeah.
I remember I had applied for it my freshman year and like I didn't get it because like he was like, oh yeah, we try to like prioritize upperclassmen because like they have like less opportunities to try again. And so, but even then, like I remember specifically a conversation we had freshman spring. Like I think that might have been like my lowest point of my college career so far. Like I was down bad in terms of financial aid. I think I had like there was a point where my account was like in the negatives, bro. Like I was going like after like wake up in the morning like from like 10 to 2 p.m. or whatever when my classes let out. I go do like MIT coursework and then I hop on the red line to Lexington because I was working a waiter job just to, like be able to afford groceries and whatnot. And like I was just like, bro, I might drop the hell out, go back to the state school where they're gonna give me like a free ride with bright futures, all that good stuff. And then
Mhm.
I think I was like in his office one day, like just talking to him about that, of just like woody woody woo. I'm thinking of like Loki faster routes, and not of crashing out, but like, damn, bro, I don't know if this route is really worth it. And I remember him
Mhm.
being like, dog, like, excuse my French or whatever, but he's like, bro, why the heck are you trying to be a rapper, nigga? Like you got to one of
Uh,
these like highest echelon institutions, and instead of like focusing on like the technical aspects and getting your engineering degree, you're trying to do like things that people back at your hometown are doing too. Like you have a different set of opportunities in front of you, take advantage of those. And it led to me, like, I'm not gonna lie, like to that idea of prioritization and sacrifice. Like somewhat I did it somewhat unconsciously, but it was also somewhat of a conscious decision from like spurred on from that conversation of like taking a step back from the music and like those other things to focus on like my academics. And I really appreciated that. And then also like coming back this next year, like in my sophomore spring, and finally taking the course with him. And like I'd also taken it with my homeboy named John. And so like that was a
mhm.
particular like useful experience of like very externally successful like black man and being able to receive mentorship from him and then also get like college credit for it. And like it was particularly useful. And I remember the specific date too. It was April 30th, 2025, because like I journaled about it. Because like I was in the office with him and a couple different professors from like the literature department, and we had like a long, like candid conversation about power. And like we were talking about like the political climate, and, like because he had a friend there who was formerly employed at the NIH, and like he had came in one day. It was like I think it was like right when like those budget cuts were getting announced, and like yeah, he had came in. He was talking to Lupe about how he had just lost a job, and me and
Mhm.
my friend John were in there, like we'll both be asking him about like an assignment and or just like about music stuff. He's like, nah, I'll tap in, like listen to this. This is important and it's like relevant to you guys because you're going to be like the next generation of the people dealing with this. And like just like getting that purview and like getting that additional layer of perspective, I think was very, very helpful. And like, yeah, like it really just like opened my eyes a bit to like because like mind you, he's also like a famous rapper. So he's telling me like, oh yeah, bro, like when you get into these other rooms, bro, like he's
Mhm.
like you have a unique skill set as like being an MIT. He's like me, I got here off the rap shit. You can do it through this other route in addition to this. And it's just like putting me on
Mhm.
game to like how the sausage is made and like how these like rooms of power operate, I think was very useful.
For sure. So what I'm getting from this is that you had the mentorship. You had good mentorship in high school. Once you got to MIT, it like exploded.
Yeah, definitely. But
Makes
I would say
sense.
also like it didn't come like super like you have to make the effort to go find it yourself though, especially like I think in college because like since you're an adult, it's not as spoon-fed to you. Like you're not necessarily going to be in those environments like having a coach or a teacher around you like just like as a given. You kind of got to put yourself in the spaces where they might be and like reach out to them out of your own volition as well.
Did you have the support that you needed throughout high school to do all the things you were doing and still get to where you are now?
I would say yeah, in the sense that like I made something shake, but it wasn't, I guess yeah, when you say support, what does that like look like or mean to you when you like phrase the question?
Yeah, so by support, I mean like people who have been people who are in the place where you want to go. Like, so for me, where I want to go, I want to be CEO of my own successful startup, right? Or I want to
Mm.
be, you know what I'm saying? I want to eventually get an internship at a fan company, or I want to be helping these kids by doing XYZ, right? People who are doing the thing you actually want to do. Like, did you have enough of that in your life?
I would say honestly, not really. Like not in the sense of like I had no real like conception of what black men at MIT might look like or at one of these Ivies for real. Like I wasn't really on like the admission side of TikTok or YouTube. Like any of the
Mm-hmm.
even if I like were to see anything like that, it wasn't really representation or people that looked like me. And yeah, like a lot of it I think was self-motivated and also like the to the degree of like having people in the place that I wanted to be, it was like the individuals that I admired from like the podcasts I was watching or like the books I was reading. I think that's it was mostly like non-present figures.
For sure, for sure. That makes sense because I think it was the same way for me. I was more so, I mean, I was more so, I found more people because of the internet.
Yeah.
Like I found people like you, Go Hard. What's your name? Oh my gosh, Elise, fam,
Mm.
Jessica, all those different people. I found those people, but at times it was more. I made it more detrimental than it was beneficial because of comparison. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of that. I mean, what are your plans to like make that better for students like you to like be able to meet the people in places, be able to meet the people in the places where you want to go? Like, what are your goals for that? How do you plan to do that?
Wait, so like for continuing to get mentorship for myself or to provide mentorship to others?
That, my
The
bad.
second one?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
latter.
Yeah. So I would say like that slightly self-plug, but like that's a good portion of what the content is meant to serve. Like
Hmm.
at first when I started the content, it was somewhat like, okay, I'm doing the SAT math tutoring, like having another way to like generate leads would be cool. But then after a while, I kind of felt that that was like it just didn't feel fully like genuine to like who I was because I was being like I was definitely putting on a persona and like being Mr. Study Tips. And I'm like, man, forget it. Like bump that. I'm gonna turn this into a
Hmm.
page for documentation and like representation so that like basically like to be the person that I didn't have before. Like what the heck does it actually look like to be someone at MIT of this background and stuff? And more specifically, like it was that summer after freshman year when I had went through, I would say like my darkest hour of like getting clapped and like I had failed a class. Like yeah, freshman spring was the first time I had ever failed a class. Like it didn't go on my record
Hmm.
because MIT has like ABC no record for your first year, but it was still like I had to sit there and like chew on that failure and like reflect on what it is that went right or went wrong with that freshman year. And in July of 2024, oh, that's crazy. It's coming up on a year, is when I had first like leaned into wanting to create the community that I like am building, like still building now, which is called like the Longbow Society. And the overall mission is to create like a living library of resources and ongoing support slash mentorship. And like so that people coming up can have that same, I guess like not same, but like have that sort of support structure that might not have existed when I came through. And
Hmm.
the first iteration of it, like the first, I guess, like year, again, like that idea of prioritization, it was something I would have liked to do, but I made the decision to like emphasize first it was like content and business, and then spring semester was like my robot and like coursework. And so the community building aspect kind of got put on the back burner. But it was originally like the founding principle of like why I had like and like why and who I had started it with was if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go in a group. And so
Yes.
started the content in like January of 2024, and I was like kind of going through like the ups and downs and like sways of like, dang, I feel like a bum and an imposter with this. Like my videos suck. I'm losing like motivation to be consistent, and then like through those ups and downs, and like, okay, I can continue to struggle through this alone. But I also had some friends like from my high school who were also doing similarly like entrepreneurial or creator oriented type things. Like I have a friend named Jay Bones. He has a pretty large following on like TikTok and YouTube. I have a friend named Isaiah. He does like basketball training and like same thing, like has a social media presence where he promotes his like training services. I have a friend named Marvin Castor, like Showtime Marv. He has a clothing brand called Divine Visions. and I pretty much made a group chat. Like to this day, it's crazy. Like it's still called Zoe Mastermind with like three Haitian flags because we're all Haitian, and I'm like, all right, cool. I want to like
Mhm.
if all the like rich Silicon Valley like frat bro type dudes can have like these masterminds or whatever where like they're just sharing sauce, like why not create one for like for us by us type thing. And really it's been like it was really
Mhm.
like just like a community space and place to talk about those like aspirations and goals with people who did understand and like could relate to those aspirations. And so like that's what their weekly calls have been going on. So like from July throughout this semester, like there's just like okay, every not every week, like of course, like some of them drop because like the college life gets busy. Sometimes like, okay, bro, I gotta study for this final, but I don't got time. Like, yeah, same here, I'm cooked. But
Right.
like having a space where you can come in and like talk about things like that. I'm like, damn, bro, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I just took my like data structures and algorithms class, bro. That you got me. Like, what about you? Like, how you feeling, stuff like that. Or like, I'm searching for this internship stuff, and like, yeah, it's really interesting. Like, I have like the like touching points throughout my journey are like in the different podcast episodes that I've recorded so far. Cause like me, I
Mhm.
remember me pulling up like, damn, bro, I'm not gonna lie, I still don't got shit lined up. I might be grits. And then like I remember like that week after I landed there, like, hey, bro, we might finally be straight. And it's like having that was like really helpful, or like having that like support net. And so like for this summer in particular, I'm trying to like lean more into that and get in more of the like the two target demographics that I'm focusing on like with my outreach at the moment are the rising high school senior and incoming
Mhm.
college freshmen. So like I'm building out like additional like online resources and like today I was like working on like a Notion template like for the admissions process, like basically like, trying to
Mhm.
codify some of the things I was saying earlier of like setting your intention early and like prioritizing what it is you want to work on, and like having those resources in the community, as well as like recruiting people of those similar sorts of aspirations and ambitions so that it can not only be like, okay, come here for like, here are tactical resources and like roadmaps to success, as well as people who have one lived the path already, like in like terms like me and like that group I was talking about, like my homeboys like Marv, Caleb, Zay, Joe, like all of them who are like, I guess like rising juniors and or my homeboy Reggie's also in there, but he's like post grad. Like having that sense of like there's like a cohort of mentors or like people that are a little bit farther like worried about career development. There's people that are coming into college, so that might be like rising sophomores or freshmen, where it's like okay, now you're looking into like internship season and like setting yourself up for those types of opportunities. But then so like they can receive advice and help from like my cohort, and then the rising high school senior who's about to go into admissions can benefit both from like the resources like the study guides or the applications guides, as well as the mentorship of the people who just got into college, as well as the like support network of like the people that are in your same cohort with you, like going through the same struggles. And that's I think like that's something I really want to pour a good portion of my energy and effort into because of the like the vision that I see it becoming.
For sure. At TOF, we're really big on mentorship. And that's one thing we're trying to reimagine as we expand, because of course we started in Memphis because of myself and my co-founder.
Yeah.
He's actually in New York, but we're expanding to different locations. So New York, Knoxville, Atlanta, Boston, those types of places where we have our team at, and starting to look at talking to different schools about, hey, that's what the FAFSA is, or hey, this is a write a college essay, stuff like that. That's
Yeah.
gonna be the goal. So I'm gonna go up to Knoxville. There's lots of things I gotta do. For me, as many people with influence as possible. Um, talk with superintendents, school principals, the chancellor, president, all that.
Mhm.
So that's definitely something that I'm gonna be trying to do and kind of taking after you in that regard. Um, but yeah, bro, you got any questions for me? I feel like I barely introduced myself.
Yeah, so I guess like I had heard a little bit about like I guess what you're like leaning towards because you mentioned like you wanted to be the CEO of a startup, but I guess like even like zooming out past that, like what is the why behind the why, or like what is it that you're aiming at long?
Yeah. Yes. So the long-term goal is to essentially democratize education.
Really?
Um, so college costs a pretty penny.
Yeah.
It costs a pretty
Facts.
penny. Now, even with like stuff like open courseware and ed tech, right? That's basically where it's gonna be at. Because I have a really big education type of background. My parents are educators. Now they'd kill me if I became a teacher. So, and I thought I'd never be in education ever. But through like peer tutoring and talking to my principal, my mentor about learning how to learn and teaching other people like what's valuable, I
Mhm.
kind of started to, I guess, attract towards it. And even as a my job as a camp counselor, teaching little kids like K through third how to code, like I could never be a teacher. I'd never be a teacher. I can never be a traditional teacher in a classroom.
Yeah.
But what I can do is spread my knowledge through other means, right? And that's kind of where the cohort program and the Technology Outreach Foundation kind of came to be. Um, and so that startup is going to be all about education, right? Have you ever heard of Prodigy?
No, it's Prodigy.
Prodigy is a math game for students K through 8.
Mhm.
And basically it's like a Pokemon but math. But it
Mm.
was fun. And I played elementary school like fourth and fifth grade. It was amazing. Like our teacher showed it to us, and people who never liked math, like they instantly got on.
Mm.
And they loved doing it. It was amazing. I had a lot of fun with it. Me and my friends was like compete or whatever. Because you can battle and it had like different stories. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Um and that's the basic idea. If we can get little kids, elementary school students to learn something by gamifying it, then who's to say you can't do it with mechanical engineering, calculus, organic chemistry, deep learning, all those different things. And so that's the general idea. And that's a part of one of the big goals I'm trying to get towards is, um, building that software, helping other people, finding other people who want to help me, in this journey, stuff like that.
Mm.
So,
Yo,
and
my bad. I mean
what
to
were you
cut.
gonna say? No, go ahead. Yeah, yeah.
I was just thinking, like, I definitely want to. I think it would be worthwhile to introduce you to my friend John, because he be changing his major a lot. I'm not gonna lie. His like he went through the whole like Rolodex of like software like majors at MIT, but at the moment he's like settled back, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Like he went full circle. Like he came in as an AI major, switched to like
Mhm.
just software dev, switched to like electrical engineer, and then came back around to like AI right now. And but like honestly, like him and my other homeboy Isaac Kennedy, like those are like the two I would say like most cracked software development like computer science like focused individuals that I know. And my homeboy like
Mhm.
Caleb, he go to FSU. Basically, like I think it would just be worthwhile to like introduce you to those because like they I
For
think have
sure.
very similar values of like wanting to democratize education, like help out like people of the community as well.
Hey, I'd be honored to, man. Being able to meet those people, that'd be great. I mean, I'm still, building my skill set, making connections, all of that. So being able to even hear from people like that too would be amazing.
Yeah, of course. Hmm. But I think I cut you off. So yeah, you basically said like you wanted to end up doing something within the ed tech space.
Yeah, basically ed tech for sure. And recently it's been caught in my mind, like, man, so in that startup, remember the YC place I was talking about?
Yeah.
Man, so they they don't sugarcoat anything on there, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I think recent thoughts in my head are like, man, um, how am I gonna do this and that at the same time? Like, yo, like that's a different type of pressure, different type of responsibility. And recently, I don't think I've ever been one to run away from pressure or run away from responsibility. I That's just the nature of how leadership has changed me.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have done any of this without becoming SJ president at middle college or at my school. Um, the way I don't know how SJ worked, but our SGA is like we're like second administrators almost. Like it's crazy the amount of things that we do. The amount of places I've been in thanks to that mentorship with my principal, learning how to speak in public, problem solving, people managing, all of that stuff has just been really helpful in me becoming who I am now and being able to speak and all the different types of skills. Um, but that first time was like one of my first time me becoming SJ Pres my what was it rising junior year, so the end of sophomore year was really a big like stepping. stepping stone, whatever point you want to call it, turning point for
Yeah.
me of, like accepting responsibility, like, man, because I didn't think, this is part of my personal statement too. I didn't think the previous president, I thought he was gonna be president again. He was a junior, so I'm a sophomore, he's a junior, he was president. I
Yeah.
think he's gonna be president again. So my plan was to become a vice president. He was
Mhm.
like, nah, I'm not doing this again, bro. And I was like, what? So, and I was like, man, who else is gonna do? Who's it gonna be?
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was gonna be me back then, but like it was me. Um, and it was me for junior year and senior year. And so being able to balance things has been a big lesson for me too. And of course, I'm not perfect. But you know, even now, like trying to set aside time to code every day, or set aside time for this, or set aside time for different things that are important to me, especially when I'm working like what is it, like a 9 to 5 essentially. Um,
Yeah.
Finding that time has been pretty difficult, especially if I'm after it's going to work out with my girlfriend and then coming home. So I'm leaving the house at like what 7:25, and then getting back home at like 8
Yeah.
or like 7:30. So finding that time, and I have to wake up again, get enough sleep to make sure I wake up again. Like
Yeah.
finding that time can be pretty difficult to say the less. But um if if it mattered to you that much, you make time for it. And
Yeah.
so that's sort of the thing that I'm trying to build my skills on. Like you said, prioritization. Um, I used to journal a lot too, and I'm gonna have to get back into that. Because that, I think people like us, we live in our heads a lot.
Yeah.
So we have to put everything down on just somewhere, and that's what's gonna have to be for me. Because all the goals I have, job internships, getting connections with people of influence at Knoxville, raising money for a science fair, starting out being a co-founder possibly, or just building like a prototype MVP.
Mm.
Um, be on first year five. Well, actually that's part of being what is it? Getting those connections, being able to get a summer internship, right? All of these, I just listed like 5 different things that are pretty difficult. Um, but again, it's all about prioritization. Um, and yeah, I mean hard work can beat it all out. But
Hey, for
that was the real struggle for me at least. It's like, yo, what am I gonna do? Like the way they're making it sound is that I have to either do this or nothing else. Like, and I mean, and that's pretty accurate. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's pretty accurate. But it's like the way I'm thinking of it. So the way I can incorporate both, because the missions of the TOF and the eventual startup I'm gonna found are gonna be they're gonna be pretty similar, right? And so being able to like, say, hey, I don't know how sustainable this is long term, but like 50% of the profit is going to like scholarships. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Like that way I won't be torn between feeling like, oh, I'm gonna do the nonprofit and not have enough money to live the life I want to live, or I'm gonna say forget the nonprofit and go all big money, like
yeah.
because
Like
I
trying to
that
find
would
those.
yeah, that wouldn't feel me. Not like neither of them would feel me.
Yeah.
So finding a way, almost like Miles Morales, that, and I also write about him too. That's crazy. He can have I can have my cake and eat it too. I'm so excited for that movie. Anyway,
Yeah. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. When it dropped,
that
bro,
movie's so
we be
fire.
there.
Oh my gosh, my favorite movie of all time. I'm probably gonna watch it tonight. But anyway, yeah,
Mm,
man. So that's part of the things that's going on in my mind. I haven't really been talking to anybody about. That that comes from stuff different too. So like me, again, like I said, I live in my head a lot, and I'll talk to my girlfriend about it sometimes. But like even
mm,
then, it's like, yo, you know, I guess part of it is I think it's part of this like the stoicism, or like the
mhm.
toxic masculinity or whatever, of like not really like expressing your feelings or whatever. But um, that's what journaling is for.
Yeah.
So um, even though I don't know what the path ahead is going to be, I'll take it head on. Um, charge my way through there, figure stuff out. Pray to God pray it goes all goes well, and you know everything will be fine. Just gotta keep going, bro.
Yes, sir. Hmm. That reminds me of like a quote that I like go back to often. Um,
Mhm.
it's the magic you seek lies in the work you're avoiding. And also like I use that in tandem with like this is an Alex Hormozy quote that the work you do works on you more than you work on it. And I feel like, yeah, fam, like I
Mm.
see zero reason why you won't be immensely successful. It's just like showing up every day and like putting in the work to help you get there.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Like I said, we were talking about like hearing from people in the places that you want to be. Like you're one of the people that are in one of the places that I want to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, so hearing that from you was really inspirational. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
That's really like the whole reason this podcast, this video series was made. Like this is what it's intended for. Um, people who are trying to get to places where they want to be, and being able to interview people like you who are in those places. That's literally it. We have other series too, like Tech
Mm,
Thursday, Business Tuesdays. Those are like shorter form videos where they're meant to teach the audience about certain concepts that I wish I had known way back then, of starting my own thing. And that's another thing too. I didn't think I was going to be able to start something. I always knew I wanted to be a startup CEO, or I actually didn't know that. I did know that. My
mm,
first career path was game development. That was
gotcha.
the very first thing I wanted to do. And then my dad was talking to me about like I think he saw me watching Overwatch League or something.
Hmm.
And he put the idea in my head like, yo, you want to work for yourself. Then I was like, yo, wait, what if I make this game, then I can I can coordinate these tournaments where everyone comes in, everyone watches it like it's really big and it makes a lot of money. And that was the idea. And then in high school, I started to kind of like think of it as like childish or something. Um,
Mm.
which is I wonder why I started thinking about it like that. I don't know. I was distracted in high school for like the first few years of high school. I would say I was distracted. But then I started falling back and started thinking more about careers and leadership and all these things. And I was like, yo, if I'm gonna end up being the CEO of my own business, then I'm gonna have to get some leadership skills someday. And stepping up was part of that deal I made with myself. Like if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have to do it to the best of my ability and learn as much as I can. And I did. Um,
Brilliant.
and yeah, I mean, life has been good. I think all of my problems are self-induced. I don't have any problems that no one's put onto me.
Mm.
I just have things that I want to work on and that I want to get better at. Um, so yeah, um, it's been great, man, for sure. How long we been on here, bro? Like 2 hours.
I've enjoyed it. This is that time. I'm messing with
No,
this.
yeah, for sure. We were talking. I sent my team. I was like, "Yo, we got to interview Ruben Stephen," and then my co-founder was like, "Yo," the co-founder was like, "Yo, this dude is like a blend between you and me, but like mostly you." And I was like, "Okay." I would say that's pretty accurate from what I've seen. But yeah, man. Anything else you want to say? Last message to the viewers.
Yeah, it would probably definitely be like along that same thread of the magic you seek lies in the work that you're avoiding, that there are no shortcuts to success. It's just like whether or not you're willing to put in the work now or put in the work later, but like either way, you're gonna have to pay. That love always wins. I think that's like the core message I think I would want to like espouse. If that's the only thing I remember for like the two choices are between love and fear, and you get that choice every day, choose love. And then I guess a bit more tactically, like going back to that like mission that I have of trying to similar to you, like that same guiding principle of trying to democratize these like resources and opportunities and like through one form of that is like through democratizing education and something in particular is like to that same point of like go fast alone but go far in a group and like trying to create that group like yeah once again I just want to like bring attention to the London Society or TOF for just like finding a sense or sort of community the yeah, like one of the most important things you can do is like pick the five people that are going to be around you because you are the average of those. And so like one form in which I'm trying to, I guess, like help in that regard is by fostering and cultivating that space. And it's completely free. Low-key self-plug, like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna just do the quick like
No,
you
go
can
ahead, bro. Go ahead.
you can find me on socials, Instagram at rstephen.04. So like rstephen.04. TikTok, same thing, but instead of a dot, it's an underscore. YouTube, you can find me through that same at or the YouTube channel itself is just called Ruben Stephen, like RUBENSTEPHEN. Also, additional information and resources about either the admissions process or like SAT tutoring can be found on my website, rstephen.com. rstephen.com/admissions has like different has like the video with my QuestBridge application and like with the breakdown as well as the overall admissions like study guide slash overview. And I'm working on additional like PDFs and documents at the moment to like break down those specific steps. Like currently, like the one I was working on this morning was like essay structure and like extracting the stories from your experiences that make the best for like a college essay. And those are all going to be on the website and like in the Google Drive. Yeah. And definitely tap in with TOF and everything else.
For sure. Yes, sir. Couple things we got coming up. We work with, I don't think we did not talk about this in the interview actually. We work with I work with 9 students,
Mhm,
sophomore, we're rising juniors and seniors now.
mhm,
Teach them calculus, give them personalized college admissions, counseling. Um, what else? Oh, ACT tutoring, of course, and we give them a laptop. So
mhm,
that's the whole package that they get. We've been working for about 4 months now. We have the cohort culminating ceremony coming up this Friday at 6 p.m. at Middle College. Make sure you purchase some tickets, about
mhm.
$20. We got some good performances. We got someone dancing. We also have someone playing piano, keynote speakers, good food. It'll be all around good time. If you're watching this video, you're probably a friend of one of those people. So go support them, be a good friend. Um, if you feel as if your ACT score isn't where you want it to be, and let's be honest, you don't got a 30, what you doing? Sign up for the ACT week. That's the very next week. We got $40 for the whole week. Each day is $12. Um, it's not just ACT though. We're also dropping some good college admissions counseling information on there because many folks in Memphis they just don't know. So we're trying to do. We're always going to push learning, learn every day, be a lifelong learner. That's what we're pushing. So,
Sir.
is there anything else? Let me think. I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, man. Follow Ruben. Subscribe to here on our YouTube channel. Go like, comment, repost. If you found this helpful, let us know. Um, I think we're gonna be doing a lot more of these because I mean, honestly, bro, this wasn't just for y'all. This was for me too. Like I learned so much in this interview. So I'm literally gonna keep doing these. Um, hopefully y'all catch on, bring for the ride, you know. But that's it for me. Y'all be safe, stay learning, drink a lot of water, sleep well. Peace out.
Yes, sir.
Yo, oh, it is recording. Okay, I was like,
No,
we never
that'd be the
recorded.
worst, fam.
No, I'll be so. Oh my god, no, no. Okay, so it is recorded. Okay, that's you though, right?
What? Like, I'm gonna hit stop recording. Are you sure you want to
Okay.
stop recording to the cloud? If yes, you'll receive an email notification when yeah, cool.